Hi, so this is a short video to help you if you're looking at buying an investment property this year. The reason why we've done this is we've had a number of phone calls from clients who are wanting to take advantage of the uncertainty in the world and the current financial situation to buy an investment property. These are mostly clients who are in a strong situation with their current home loan. They've got good jobs, they're feeling secure in those jobs, and they've also got some money saved, and they've already been thinking about this already, and they're going, well, what can I do to maybe make sure I get a good deal when I buy something? This is general advice, and if you want to talk about it more for you individually, please, as always, book a phone call with us. The first thing at the moment is that the market for selling is definitely a lot harder. All right, it's a lot harder to have open homes, and there's a lot less buyers than what there normally is. So if these people who are looking at buying now are thinking, hey, look, if there's ever an opportunity for us to get a cheeky offer accepted and to buy a house for less than what it's worth, now's the time. The second thing is that in link with that, some people are asking me going, well, look, we're not seeing that there's a lot of houses for sale at the moment, but do you think that that might change over the next few months? And the answer is that it could. Now, what do I mean by that is when I say it could, it's to do with the fact that a lot of people at the moment have taken up repayment holidays or repayment deferrals on their home loans through banks. And a lot of those deferrals are for a 3 or a 6 month period. And a lot of people started those when they first came up, when those first offers were announced. So it was in mid-March. And so once you get 3 or 6 months, depending upon which bank they've got those deferrals with, it's likely that those people could be in a position where they might have to sell their property. So if you get to that point where someone's in a situation where they're forced to sell and they're in a distressed sale, that's when you could see a number of people who are having to sell their property and put those properties for sale, whereas they were trying to hold it and get through this. Now, whether that happens and to the extent that happens is going to vary obviously on a number of factors. One of the big ones will be is how banks will view if people come back to them in, say, 3 months' time at the end of that first lot of home loan holiday and they ask for a second, 3 or 6 month period, what the banks will say. But my understanding of stuff is that banks are very, very resistant on just handing out these, on an ongoing basis, because what it does is it increases the risk to the bank as the loans go up and people aren't making payments. They don't want to put their clients in a worse situation either, where the loans just keep getting higher and higher and the property prices for that property keep coming down. So banks are going to be really cautious about doing that. Another thing to think about as well is with a lot of loans, a lot of clients are using the rent from that property to help with the loan repayments, to help cover the loan repayments. So at the moment, interest rates have fallen, and as interest rates have fallen, the rent that your tenants are paying can pay a big chunk off the home loan, all right, and cover most of the repayments. And so you're a lot closer to having a cash flow positive property now than you might have been 18 months ago, for example. One thing to be careful of, though, one thing that a sort of a word of warning to clients is that when you're looking now, though, at owning an investment property, I think now you've got to be a lot more careful about the tenant that you've got versus if you were buying one a year ago. And you might ask me, well, what's the reason for that? And the reason for that is because that your income from that property is your tenant, okay, and their rent that they pay each week. And so what I would recommend you do is try and make sure that you're renting to somebody where their income is coming from the government or a big major corporation, or they're coming from an area where they're working where they're not as impacted on the whole coronavirus situation as what other people are. So the ideal things for that are public servants, teachers, healthcare workers, etc. So those people, over the next few months, their income should stay fairly consistent and their ability to make repayments or to pay the rent should be good. Lastly, I want to talk about doing your research and what I think you should do when you're looking at buying. And normally, most people will just look at the selling prices and the properties that are for sale. I think you should add a third point to that, to this at the moment, and that is you should also be talking a lot more closer with the property managers. So the keeping an eye on what properties are renting, how much rent they're getting, because in this moment of volatility, I had a client the other day where they actually rented their property and it rented for 20% less than what they were expecting, and so that's a real concern, because that's your income. So do your homework and make sure that the purchase price, you're getting it for a good deal, but also that it's going to rent well in this market as well.